There is a version of the Black migration story that never makes the headlines because it is not happening in the cities everyone already talks about. It is happening in the cities that get skipped on every best cities list, the ones without a viral nickname. These are cities where the community is already deep and the mortgage still fits inside a normal paycheck. This is the countdown of 10 hidden American cities where Black families are quietly building real wealth and real roots, and almost nobody outside is paying attention. One of these cities has the largest historically Black university system on Earth inside its limits. Another was the beating heart of the civil rights movement and never stopped being a Black stronghold. And the city holding the #1 spot has a Black population share so high that in some neighborhoods it feels less like a minority and more like a majority hiding in plain sight. Hit that like button before your rent goes up again, and subscribe if you want to keep discovering the corners of America nobody bothers to map. Let's start at number 10. Quick context first, because the numbers only make sense once you see the shape of them. For a century, the story of Black America was about leaving the South. Roughly 6 million people packed up during the Great Migration and headed north and west, chasing factory jobs and a shot at safety. That story has quietly reversed itself. Today, well over half of all Black Americans live back in the South, and the trend keeps accelerating every single year. The reason is not sentimental, it is financial. A family earning the same salary in Chicago or Los Angeles can often buy twice the house for half the price in a mid-sized southern or midwestern city. And that math has moved more moving trucks than any parade ever could. So here is where the smart money and the deep roots are actually landing, starting with the quietest pick on the whole list. Number 10. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Most people cannot even place this city on a map, which is exactly why it belongs here. The metro sits at roughly 34% Black, and the median home price hovers around $200,000. Winston-Salem State University, a historically Black school with roots stretching back over a century, anchors a serious professional pipeline into local hospitals and school systems. The Wake Forest Baptist Medical System is the biggest employer in town, and it keeps churning out stable, benefits-heavy jobs year-round. The city used to run on tobacco money, and now it runs on biotech and healthcare research instead, which is a much steadier bet for a family trying to plant roots. It is not flashy, but it is solid, and solid is exactly what this list is built on. Number 9. Fayetteville, North Carolina. This one runs on one massive economic engine, Fort Liberty, one of the largest military bases on the planet. The city is around 42% Black, largely because generations of soldiers finished their service here and simply stayed. The median home price sits close to $210,000, and military benefits stretch that budget even further for veteran families. Fayetteville State University, another historically Black school, feeds graduates straight into logistics, healthcare, and government contracting jobs across the region. What makes this city different is the built-in support system. Between veteran housing assistance and tight-knit church networks, new arrivals rarely feel like outsiders for long. Number 8. Montgomery, Alabama. You cannot talk about Black history in America without eventually landing here, and that legacy is still baked into daily life. This is the city where Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat, and where Martin Luther King Jr. built the movement that changed the country. Today, the metro is close to 60% Black, one of the highest shares of any capital city in America. The median home price sits around $150,000, which makes Montgomery one of the most affordable state capitals anywhere in the nation. Alabama State University, a historically Black institution with deep roots in the civil rights struggle, still produces a steady stream of local teachers, nurses, and civil servants. State government jobs, plus a growing defense presence tied to nearby Maxwell Air Force Base, keep the local economy humming quietly. History lives here, and so does a generation buying their first home for less than a used car costs elsewhere. Number 7. Little Rock, Arkansas. Another capital city that refuses to brag about itself. The metro runs around 40% Black, and the median home price sits close to $180,000, which puts real homeownership within reach of an ordinary working family. Philander Smith College, a historically Black school right in the heart of downtown, keeps producing graduates who stay local instead of scattering to bigger cities. The University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences is the largest employer in the state, pulling in doctors, nurses, and researchers by the thousands. State government offices add another steady layer of stable paychecks on top. This is a city built for people who want a real career without a coastal price tag attached to it. If this list is opening your eyes even a little, go ahead and tap that like button. It genuinely helps more people find this. Number 6. Augusta, Georgia. Everyone knows Augusta for 1 week a year because of the golf tournament and ignores it the other 51 weeks, which is honestly the appeal. The metro sits around 55% black, and the median home price is close to $170,000. Fort Eisenhower, formerly known as Fort Gordon, has turned this city into one of the country's leading hubs for military cybersecurity work, pulling in well-paying technical jobs. Payne College, a small historically black institution, keeps a steady community pipeline running through local schools and churches. Add in a growing medical corridor anchored by Augusta University, and you get a city quietly training doctors, engineers, and cyber specialists while the rest of the country is busy watching golf. Number 5. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This is where things start getting genuinely serious, because Baton Rouge is home to Southern University, the flagship of the largest historically black university system on the entire planet. The metro is a little over 50% black, and the median home price sits around $200,000. Louisiana's state capital sits right next to Louisiana State University, giving the region 2 massive universities, feeding graduates into local industry at the same time. The petrochemical corridor along the Mississippi River provides thousands of high-paying industrial jobs that do not require a coastal cost of living to access. State government work adds yet another stable layer underneath all of it. Between the food, the music, and the density of historically black institutions in one place, Baton Rouge offers a cultural depth that newer boomtowns cannot fake. Number 4. Richmond, Virginia. The capital of the old Confederacy has spent the last 2 decades quietly becoming one of its biggest ironies, a genuinely thriving black professional hub. The metro is close to 40% black, and the median home price runs around $340,000, higher than the others on this list but still a fraction of nearby Washington, D.C. prices just 2 hours up the highway. Virginia Union University, a historically black school with roots stretching back to the years after slavery ended, sits inside city limits alongside a growing tech sector. State government jobs, a booming healthcare system anchored by VQ Health, and a genuinely walkable, historic downtown have pulled in a wave of young professionals priced out of DC. Richmond took its complicated history and turned it into one of the most interesting black communities on the East Coast, monuments and all. Number 3. Birmingham, Alabama. This is the city where the civil rights movement faced its ugliest resistance, and where that resistance lost. The metro runs close to 70% black, one of the highest shares of any major American city. The median home price sits around $150,000, making Birmingham one of the single cheapest places to buy a home on this entire list. The University of Alabama at Birmingham has quietly become the largest employer in the whole state, running a medical and research complex that rivals institutions twice its size. Miles College, a historically black school just outside the city, keeps the local professional pipeline flowing. Birmingham carries the weight of its history openly, with museums that do not flinch from the past, but the present tells a different story. A city where a family can buy a real house for less than the price of a nice car and still be surrounded by deep black community. Number 2. Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. Welcome to the Research Triangle, where the money genuinely is different. This metro runs around 25% black in raw share, but the sheer size of the region means that translates into hundreds of thousands of actual people, and the job quality here is on another level entirely. Durham is home to North Carolina Central University, a historically black school with a nationally respected law program, while Raleigh hosts Shaw University, one of the oldest historically black colleges in the entire country. The median home price runs close to $380,000, higher than most of this list, but that number comes attached to a genuinely different kind of paycheck. Biotech firms, pharmaceutical giants, and a constant stream of tech company expansions have made this one of the highest-earning Black professional corridors in the entire South. This is not a bargain bin pick. It is a city where the Black middle class is compounding. Number 1. Memphis, Tennessee. Here it is, the most quietly majority Black major city in the entire country. And almost nobody outside the region gives it credit for that. The city itself runs close to 64% Black, a share that most major American cities simply cannot match. The median home price sits at an almost unbelievable $150,000, among the lowest of any major metro in the nation, which means the cost of a starter home elsewhere buys you a genuinely nice house here with room to spare. FedEx runs its entire global headquarters out of Memphis, anchoring a logistics economy that touches nearly every package that moves through the country. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital sits right in the city, pulling in world-class medical talent and funding an entire secondary healthcare economy around it. Lemoyne-Owen College, a historically Black institution founded before the Civil War even ended, keeps a direct line running between the classroom and the community. This is also the city that gave the world Stax Records and an entire genre of American soul music, a cultural weight that punches far above the size of the metro itself. Memphis is not hidden because it lacks anything. It is hidden because the rest of the country stopped looking, and the people who noticed first are already building wealth on some of the cheapest real estate of any major city in America. So there is your list. 10 cities most people scroll straight past on their way to somewhere flashier. But here is the honest part, because a channel that only sells you the dream is not one you should trust. Affordable does not mean risk-free. Some of these local economies lean hard on one or two major employers, and a downturn in healthcare funding or a defense budget shift can ripple through a local job market fast. Home prices that look cheap today will not necessarily stay that way once enough people catch on, and a few of these cities are already starting to see prices climb as word spreads. The opportunity here is real, but nobody should move on hype alone. Still, zoom out and the pattern is impossible to miss. These are cities with deep institutions, real community, and a mortgage that does not require 2 incomes and a miracle. That is not a consolation prize, that is a strategy, and it is working. If this opened your eyes to a city you had never considered, hit that like button so someone else finds it too, and subscribe, because next time we are mapping out another corner of the country nobody told you to look at. We will see you in the next one.